Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Turner, Assistant General Secretary, Labor Relations of the Manitoba Teachers Society, and I'm your host tonight for this telephone town hall. Joining me are the President and the General Secretary of the Manitoba Teachers Society. Welcome James Bedford and Danielle Fullan Kolton. Before we hear from our guests, let me start by explaining how a telephone town hall works. Right now, there are thousands of MTS members answering their phones and connecting to this discussion. In a way, this is like a traditional town hall, where guests arrive and file in through the front door. Except in place of the front door, there are thousands of members whose phones are ringing throughout Manitoba. Once a member answers their phone, they need only stay on the line to join this discussion. Shortly, we will hear from James Bedford, President of MTS, and General Secretary Danielle Fullan Kolton. They will speak about the lobbying and advocacy work the union has been doing on behalf of teachers. After that, we will answer questions from you. If you have a question for James or Danielle, all you have to do is press *3 on your phone keypad to indicate that you have a question. An operator will take down your question and put you in line to ask your question live. Again, my name is Dan Turner, and I am your host for this telephone town hall meeting with members of the Manitoba Teachers Society. My job is to keep this conversation moving smoothly and to make sure we get to hear your opinions and have as much discussion as possible. Before we go to our first question from a member, I would like to invite our speakers to say a few words. James, can you tell us why we're here tonight?
Certainly can, and thanks, Dan. Hello, everyone. My name is James Bedford. I'm the President of the Manitoba Teachers Society. When I began my term as President, the global pandemic was certainly not on my radar, but here we are. 8 months in, and the public school system is on the brink of collapse because there are simply not enough teachers to go around. Teachers are dealing with crushing workloads. 9 in 10 teachers are stressed. The Society's Disability Benefits Plan is at a 10-year high, with the number of members taking medical leave. The Educator Assistance Plan is seeing a steady influx of requests for virtual counseling services. To answer the question of why we are here because this cannot continue. The expectations being placed on teachers are both unreasonable and unsustainable. We are here to bring attention to this issue. We have politicians, we have members of the public, we have other education stakeholders, we have media, all listening in tonight. Teachers are here to say enough. We need your help. We need your support. We need resources, and we need it now. I want to thank everyone who's taking the time to participate in our telephone town hall tonight. Danielle and I are here tonight to talk to you about some of the work we have been doing on your behalf. But more importantly, we wanted to hear from you about the concerns and about the challenges you are dealing with. We're here to listen and answer any questions you might have. If you'd like to ask a question, just press *3 on your phone at any time to indicate that you'd like to speak with Danielle and me. An operator will take down your question and put you in line to ask the question live.
Thanks, James. For those of you joining us, I'm here with the Manitoba Teachers Society President, James Bedford, and General Secretary, Danielle Fullan Kolton. We are here tonight to hear from you about the challenges and concerns in the education system due to COVID-19 and to answer your questions about what the union is doing on your behalf. You can press *3 on your phone at any time to indicate that you'd like to ask James and Danielle a question. An operator will take down your question and put you in line to ask your question live. MTS General Secretary Danielle Fullan Kolton, you have been working behind the scenes with government and education stakeholders on a number of issues since the beginning of the pandemic in Manitoba. Can you talk a bit about the work the Society has been involved with? Danielle?
Thanks, Dan. Yes, since April, I have been participating on the COVID-19 response planning team. And this is a group made up of educational stakeholders, representatives from Manitoba education and government, including the Deputy Minister. And so this group is a place where we bring the teacher perspective on government strategies. We worked together and spearheaded the teacher engagement survey where we received feedback about remote learning over the spring, as well as information about the things that teachers need to succeed in these times. MTS has used this feedback to help shape some of our positions and to guide our lobbying and advocacy work. Some of the things that we've been successful in influencing have included the return of the 3 PD days that were taken at the beginning of the school year and the suspension of grade 12 exams for January 2021. We've been involved in so many discussions with government and stakeholders that I've lost track. Now, to be clear, not every consultation gives the desired result, but every consultation is an opportunity to add the teacher voice to the conversation. And being at the table is the first and perhaps the most important step in advocating for teachers. James and I are looking forward to your questions, so please press *3 on your phone and an operator will take down your question and put you in line to ask the question live.
Thanks, Danielle. Welcome to those members of the Manitoba Teachers Society who have just joined us. My name is Dan Turner and I'm your host this evening. This may sound a bit repetitive for a few of you who are on the line, but as people join, we want to make sure it's clear so that everyone knows how to work the system tonight. A telephone town hall is just like a radio talk show, except instead of tuning in to your radio, you have answered your phone when we called. I'm joined on this telephone town hall by your MTS President, James Bedford, and General Secretary Danielle Fullan Kolton. Our speakers tonight will be talking about the work that our union has been doing to deal with the challenges members are facing because of COVID-19. We will also be taking live questions from members on the call. If you have a question for any of the speakers, I would encourage you to press *3 on your phone now. An operator is standing by. In addition to hearing questions directly from members, we have the ability on this telephone town hall to do quick polls. Let's do a quick poll now. I'm going to ask a question and then read out 4 answers, and you choose the one that most reflects your opinion by pressing the number on your phone keypad that corresponds with the answer you agree with. So here is the first question. Which of the following would you say is your single biggest concern as a teacher today? Please choose from one of the following 5 options. I would encourage you to listen to all of the options as our menus have changed. Press 1 for managing my workload. Press 2 for maintaining my physical health. Press 3 for ensuring I can achieve COVID-19 health and safety requirements in my classroom. Press 4 for maintaining my mental health. Press 5 for don't know. I'll repeat that question for you. Which of the following would you say is your single biggest concern as a teacher today? Press 1 for managing my workload. Press 2 for maintaining my physical health. Press 3 for ensuring I can achieve COVID-19 health and safety requirements in my classroom. Press 4 for maintaining my mental health. Press 5 for I don't know. While we collect those results, I would remind you again, my name is Dan Turner and I'm your host for tonight's telephone town hall. For those of you who would like to ask a question, all you need to do is press *3 on your phone. An operator will take down your question and put you in line to ask your question live. If you're not comfortable asking your question live or you don't get through, we have a number of calls in the queue. You will also have a chance to leave a message at the end of this call, so stay on the line to the end and leave a voice message for James and Danielle. All right, we're going to go to our first question. Question number 1. Jody from our online portal asks, why have we not had access to the federal funding for PPE? I'm going to ask President James Bedford to respond.
Well, thanks for the question, Jody. It's a good one. The federal funding, the $85.4 million that's available to the province of Manitoba, is in fact here because of the great advocacy work that teachers like you and others across the country have done through the Canadian Teachers Federation. And I've had the opportunity to speak with all of my colleagues across the country who have told me stories about how that money is being used for personal protective equipment in their provinces, but also for putting more teachers in our schools, for paying for more substitute teachers, for student transportation, for ventilation improvements, and many other ways. We realized as we went through the fall that we weren't hearing stories about how that $85.4 million was being spent in the province of Manitoba. And that certainly caused us to begin asking questions at the response planning team level. And then when we didn't get answers at that level, we took our message public. And it seems like the members of the public in the province of Manitoba are slowly finding some answers from this government. We've heard that it's now being spent somewhat on PPE. It's being spent to support remote learning, but that's just a small fraction of the available money. And a big concern that we have right now is that the money came to us in two parts, each part to support half of the school year. And our concern is that if the province can't demonstrate the expenditure of the first half of that money by the end of December, the second half of that money could be in jeopardy. So I think we need to begin some really hard advocacy work with MLAs and with school division leaders to advocate for the expenditure of that money. We're definitely seeing needs to support teacher mental health. We're seeing needs to support better and improved school ventilation in the province, as well as ongoing needs for personal protective equipment, more teachers in our classrooms, and more supports for remote learning.
Thank you, James. We're going to go right to our next question. This question is from Joanne from Winnipeg. Joanne, you're on the line.
Hi. Yes, I did have a question. I find it's, having to deal with the workload for one. I have 1/3 of my class online, distance learning. I'm teaching them, and I'm even doing so as we speak right now, answering all their multiple questions, putting things online, and I have students in my class that I'm teaching. We cannot social distance by 2 meters. It's an impossibility because of the size of our classrooms and the size of our school. So what I find is how come more things are being put on teachers, and our workload is increased, and we're expected to teach 2 programs, which I find is ironic as well, because I can't even have my adult son come and visit because we're not allowed anyone to come and visit. That's from the outside of the home. But I'm exposed to 23 students, all the staff, with masks, of course, but I'm out there every day, but I can't have my adult son in my own home, and I'm having to teach 2 different programs, the expectations of that as well. So it's a 2-part question.
Thank you for the question, Joanne. Danielle Fullan Kolton, our General Secretary, will respond.
Thanks for the question, Joanne. And this is something that we're hearing by so many of our membership right now. And so I know you've asked a couple of questions, so I'm going to parcel them out. So the first part of the question is addressing why is it that you cannot see your son, but you're in a classroom with multiple students? And that's a fair question, and we get asked that a lot. And so the rationale is that there are additional preventative measures in schools, theoretically, such as cohorts, hand washing, physical distancing, and masks, that as a layered approach would help to minimize the spread of the virus. But I don't have to tell you that those are only as good as they are actually happening. And so one of the things that has been a constant for us is talking about consistent safety and compliance with those measures across school divisions. And so this is an ongoing conversation that we have within the response planning team and with the Deputy Minister to talk about those things. So I would say that that's ongoing and we are making some strides in there. The second question that you asked was about workload and specifically about simultaneously both teaching your in-person students as well as your remote learners. And this has been a serious concern of ours for quite some time, really since Orange came in. And so several documents, a lot of conversations and meetings are taking place where we're talking about what we would call achievable expectations, because we all know that when teachers are pulled in all of those directions, you cannot possibly meet all of those needs. That's one issue, but also your own mental health and physical health can suffer. And so working with the government on achievable expectations is a really important part of that process for us. So those conversations will be ongoing, and the province is working through the remote learning center. And I know that teachers had a lot of questions about how that might help them with these blended learning situations that you're outlining, and there is definitely more information coming. The government has heard that what they proposed in the announcement was not going to support teachers in the way that they needed to be supported with remote learning, and so we're continuing to work with them on that.
Thank you, Danielle. Let's go right to another member's question. On the line, we have Leslie from Eli. Leslie, you're live.
Hi there. My question has to do with this idea of extending Christmas break. I know that's still on the table. Honestly, I'm stressed to the max, like most teachers are, and now I'm worried that a break will be extended, but we're not paid for Christmas break. So I'm wondering how this will potentially affect members and what's being done to figure this out.
Thanks for the question, Leslie. You need to know the idea of extending Christmas break came as a bit of a surprise to us, like some of the other messages that come. We didn't get a heads up that it was coming our way, but it didn't take us much time to adopt some fundamental positions with respect to that Christmas break. One of them is that this is not going to result in a loss of salary for our members. They're certainly working hard enough as it is. So no loss of salary associated with extending the winter break. As well, we're very adamant of the importance of the summer break, not only to our members to rest and recharge, but it's also a time period where families depend on enjoying some quality family time together. So another one of our positions is that an extended winter break is not going to impact on our traditional summer break from June 30th through to Labor Day. There's a number of other items that we put on the table, and I can tell you that we're going into a meeting tomorrow to continue our advocacy work on these positions and learn more about both what the purpose of an extended winter break would be with respect to providing greater safety during this COVID period, but also to look for some of the underlying rationale as to how an extended winter break is going to impact both our students and our members.
Thanks for that response, James. I want to report back the poll results from the quick poll we just did a few moments ago on the question, which of the following would you say is your single biggest concern as a teacher today? Those who responded on the call, 35% of our callers said managing my workload was the biggest concern. 33% said maintaining my mental health. 16% said maintaining my physical health. 12% said ensuring I can achieve COVID-19 health and safety requirements in my classroom. And 3% answered, I don't know. Well, thanks everyone for participating in that poll. It is time for our next question. On the line, we have Cheryl from Belmont. Cheryl, you are live.
Hi there. I'm an itinerant teacher, and so I work in seven different buildings, 7 smaller sites, and I'm a resource teacher. And my question was, why am I still traveling to sites that have COVID and have had COVID-19? I didn't feel good at a site last week, and then 2 weeks ago, and then last week it closed because public health finally, found that it was unsafe. Also, I have no plexiglass. I've asked for it. I'm working one-on-one with students all the time, and it's kind of scary, and scary to be maybe person zero in this, because I feel like it's a matter of not if I catch it, but when I catch it. Yeah.
All right. We're going to ask Danielle, our General Secretary, to respond. Danielle?
Thanks for the question, Cheryl. This is also a concern that we're hearing about quite frequently, not only traveling between buildings, but traveling between classrooms and cohorts within a building. And so when we talk to Manitoba Education, who of course is working with public health, they feel that the medical mask is the best point of protection on that. But in addition, we are consulting with our partners about those protections for people like yourselves, itinerant teachers who are back and forth among various sites. And we encourage you to be connecting with your local president to advocate, to express your concerns. And of course, a lot of school divisions are working through these particular issues. There's so many layers of issues and concerns for folks. And so this is just one of them, and one that we're communicating frequently about. So thanks for your question.
Thank you for the response, Danielle. Before we go to another question, we'd like to try out another quick poll with our audience members. Remember to listen to the question and all of the answers before responding. Remember, you can only vote once. Here is your question. If schools move to the pandemic response level red, requiring more remote learning, what support will you need the most? There are 5 options to choose from. Press 1 for more preparation time. Press 2 for more collaboration with colleagues. Press 3 for more professional learning around remote teaching strategies. Press 4 for supplemental curricular resources. Press 5 for external support coaching from the Manitoba Remote Learning Center. Once again, the question is, if schools move to the pandemic response level red, requiring more remote learning, what support do you need the most? I'll read out the answers one more time. Press 1 for more prep time. Press 2 for more collaboration time with colleagues. Press 3 for more professional learning around remote teaching strategies. Press 4 for supplemental curricular resources appropriate for remote teaching. Press 5 for external support and coaching from the Manitoba Remote Learning Center. Thanks everyone for participating. Let's get back to the questions from members. And remember, you can press *3 on your keypad at any time to let us know that you would like to speak with either James or Danielle. An operator is standing by and will put you in line to ask your question live. Let's go right to another member's question. Our next question is from Vicki in Ericsdale. Vicki, you're live.
Hi there. My question is regarding what's going to be happening in regards to certified substitute teachers. Right now in the rural areas, like a lot of us can't find any full-time work, but we're also not getting as many sub days because a lot of teachers don't want to be out of school unless they have to be. And the PD days and sports days and all things that we used to sub for are gone. So we're not getting as many days as we used to. And a lot of us can't always pay our bills. And we're also worried that maybe we won't be able to qualify for EI again if we had to take it earlier. And if there's goes to full red and closes the schools and we have to go on EI again, we are concerned we might not qualify at all. And the lack of benefits for subs if anybody gets sick. We're not sure what we'll do if we get sick, because there is a benefits package that you can apply into as a sub, but if you don't have enough money to do that, then you have no benefits at all. So we're not sure what is the plan from the Teachers Society to assist subs.
Well, thanks for the question, Vicki. We've actually been collaborating with the Retired Teachers Association of Manitoba on the issue of substitutes, because many of our members who are substitutes come from the ranks of our retired teachers. And one of the things that we're able to achieve is an agreement on those sick days, because one of the things that I think we heard from all substitutes about going into this year was about coverage. If there was a need to go for a COVID test and self-isolate, or if somebody did become sick while in school, traditionally our substitutes don't have sick days. But this was one of the things we were able to reach agreement on with the Manitoba School Boards Association to put in place an agreement, and I think it's in the process of being signed right now, an agreement that will see sick days covered for our substitutes. In terms of the amount of work, what I've been hearing from our local leaders is that there's actually an ongoing shortage of substitutes, and many jobs are not being filled simply because we don't have the qualified substitutes out there. And lately we've seen some school divisions openly advertise for non-certified substitutes in their classrooms. And of course, we all get a little concerned when non-certified members are in the position of educating students, and we will obviously continue to support these members as best we can. But, you know, the preference is to see substitutes like yourself who are qualified, who are certified, to be in our schools working. And I would encourage you to contact your local leaders to determine if there are any impediments in place, or if there is maybe just not a realization that you're one of those hardworking members that we are depending on to be in our schools when our full-time teachers need to take those days off for whatever purposes. So thanks very much for the question, and I'm glad to say that, you know, we're putting the hours in to support subs.
Thank you for the response, James. Let's move right to our next question. We have Deandra in Winnipeg. Deandra, you're live.
Hi. My question is just regarding the K-3 not mandating masks for them. I'm a grade 1 teacher, and I've been teaching this grade for 5 years. Like everything else, we would spend the time teaching them how to wear their masks properly, how long to wear them for, if they need to be changed, that kind of stuff. So my question is, if my grade 1 students can wear their masks for 20 to 25 minutes, and I give them, you know, a 5 or 6 minute break where they take off their mask, they drink water, then they put them back on so that we're keeping each other safe. Why is it that we aren't mandating that across the province when we know that COVID affects everybody?
Thank you for your question. Danielle?
Thanks, Deandra. And just today, there were further conversations about this. As you know, our original call was for K-12 masks to be mandatory. That was a call that we put out to the province after they simply said that masks were strongly recommended. And so at that time, the province went with grades 4 to 12 mandatory masks, and for all staff and adults in schools, and for K-12 on buses. And so we've reintegrated asking questions about this because of all of the reasons that you've identified. And we know for sure that K-3 students are not physical distancing. And so one of the things that public health has said many times is about the risks of wearing masks with K-3 students. But as you've said, that part of learning about everything in early years, including sharing and caring and math and ELA, is also how to wear a mask and how to wash your hands. And so our position continues to be that enforcement of masks for all in K-12 is important. And so you'll hear more from us on this in the coming weeks.
Thank you for the response, Danielle. Before we go to the next question, let's look at the results from the last poll question, which was, if schools move to the pandemic response level red, requiring more remote learning, what support will you need the most? 53% of our respondents answered more preparation time. 18% answered more collaboration time with colleagues. 14% answered more professional learning around remote teaching strategies. 13% answered supplemental curricular resources appropriate for remote teaching. And 2% answered external support or coaching from the Manitoba Remote Learning Centre. Let's get back to the questions. Next, we have a question from Tara in Brandon. Tara, you are live on the Manitoba Teachers Society Telephone Townhall.
Hi, yes. I just wanted to have a question primarily pertaining to work-life balance. To give you a bit of a snapshot of currently what my work-life balance looks like, we all know that as teachers over the course of this pandemic, we already wear many hats to begin with. And let's just say that we've had a lot of hats added to our wardrobe over the last year. Some of us are now fluent in almost, building online classrooms and tech support, and the list goes on and on. So really, our list of duties have only expanded immensely since the pandemic has started. And there has really not been any give and take in terms of duties coming off of our plate in order to create a healthier balance for us. And I recognize that the government is trying to roll out resources. Now, I'm a high school teacher and I teach grades 9 through 12, but not only that, I'm a specialized vocational instructor. And unfortunately, all the resources like the call center and any online resources that the government have given are not for my classroom, which happens to be the design drafting trade. So my question is MTS bringing anything to the table with Manitoba Education about potentially dialing back certain aspects of our duties so we don't experience burnout? For example, I currently work approximately 2 hours of overtime every evening and then at least 5 hours every weekend just to keep up with basic duties like marking and then what I call my tech prep, which is just upkeeping my online platform. Is there any indication of dialing back on certain duties to help us maintain healthy work-life balance is my question. Are we bringing any of that to Manitoba Education?
So thanks, Tara. Let me begin by what you say exemplifies so many of our members across the province. Even in a COVID-19, in an extraordinary COVID-19 year, the professionalism and the attention to student learning is always first and foremost. And what we've been working on with the government is to say that, our members are not going to drop the ball on student learning, but we do seriously have to look at mechanisms to, as you so aptly put it, take some things off the plate. One of the early announcements, and we were strong in our advocacy for this, was the elimination of provincial exams in January. It doesn't impact all, we know that, but it is a small measure. We were optimistic and firm in our advocacy that there needed to be some changes to the provincial report card because we know over recent years our members are required to put more and more effort into that provincial report card when it comes to communication on student learning with parents. We were strong in our advocacy but we didn't see any significant changes taken off the plate of teachers when it comes to that provincial report card. And if I go back to the previous polling question, far and above, number one on the list of supports is simply more preparation time. Something we've been strong on in our messaging is that we still want to be there to teach students, but it's a completely new teaching environment, a completely new learning environment. So one of the things that is absolutely essential is additional prep time. And we were happy to see 3 non-instructional days added back into the school calendar. But rest assured, we continue our conversations in looking for ways to ease off that teacher workload, removing some of the administrative work. We very definitely hope that our parent community is understanding as we're getting into that critical parent-teacher communication time, and that our parents are mindful of teacher time as they go in to schedule those meetings, mostly on the virtual format with our members. I think there is still room to look at evaluation. There is still room to look at examinations and assessment at all levels, but particularly at the high school level, where I have great familiarity with, and really ask that fundamental question in the current blended remote in-class environment for high schools. Are examinations the proper assessment tool to be using for our students? Teachers like yourself are spending so much time in terms of working with students on education. Is this a year where we really have to take a different look at the assessment tools that are in our toolbox and say we're going to put some of them aside in favor of some different assessment tools? So rest assured, these are conversations that continue. We've had some success. We're going to be optimistic that we have more success in the future.
Thank you, James. Moving right along to another question. We have a question from Eddie. Eddie asked his question online. His question was, if they extend Christmas break, will it affect summer break? Danielle?
Thanks for your question, Eddie. And the short answer to this is no. It's been our position consistently that no change to the school year would be a consequence of changing the winter break. So, and that is something that it's our understanding that the government is not interested in that either. So, but if that would change, we would be very, very steadfastly advocating that is not a position we support in any way.
Thank you, Danielle. Let's open up one more poll for the callers. Your question to all callers on the line: have you seriously considered retiring or changing professions due to challenges of working in a COVID-19 education system? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. I'll repeat the question. Have you seriously considered retiring or changing professions due to the challenges of working in a COVID-19 education system? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. And we'll get right back to the phone lines. Our next question is from Catherine. Catherine in Steinbach, you are live.
Hi, I have a question about COVID testing. I unfortunately have had to be tested 4 times, and each time it's taken about 5 days. So I have lost, and that doesn't count the time that's required to make an appointment and all that. And I know it's about public health and the problems that they're having with backlogs and things like that. But I am wondering if MTS has advocated for teachers to get either rapid testing or, some kind of speeding up things so that we don't have to wait so long for getting tested and getting results.
Thanks for your question, Catherine. And being in Steinbach tonight, I think I want to say what's on everybody's mind is we wish you well. I hope you're healthy, and I hope you stay healthy. And I hope that that remote learning is going to be something that you're going to be successful with your teachers or with your students. Rapid testing for teachers was something that we were advocating for right out of the block. And initially, we were told that the system just is not set up to accommodate rapid testing. We didn't let the ball drop on this one, and we're certainly thankful to the information that flows into this building that we heard of a couple of things, rapid testing kits being moved into this province for use in testing province-wide, but also increasing, and perhaps it was overdue, but increasing testing capacity. At last week's response planning team meeting, we were told that rapid testing for teachers is in the works. And I actually spoke to a member, and I can only say I spoke to an individual who said that she did receive priority testing this weekend when she identified herself as a teacher. So it will be one of those things that we inquire at response planning team meeting tomorrow to determine if, in fact, this is in place across the province. And you can bet that if we get a positive answer, we will be letting our members know right out of the block, because the last thing we want to see is our members going through that very, very difficult waiting period. And I can only imagine with 4 tests, with waiting periods of up to 5 days, I can only imagine the drain on your mental health to undergo that. So I'm optimistic that we're going to have some positive news for you and all members very shortly on that front.
Thank you, James. Right back to the phone lines. We have Michelle in Winnipeg. Michelle, you are live on the Manitoba Teachers Society Telephone Townhall.
Hi, thanks. My question is regarding a government requirement for live instruction or synchronous instruction if we were to move to a code red situation across the board. My question is around what risks are there to teachers in terms of privacy and security, and what action might be being taken to mitigate that risk should this be an expectation.
Danielle?
Thanks for your question, Michelle. So this is something that we have also been looking into. Teachers have been expressing concern about this exact topic and the risks. And there have been divisions who have worked on divisional policy on this. We've consulted with legal on it in terms of the recording being used for its intended use and for the audience that it is intended for. And so those are things that should be in a divisional policy. And certainly any question, if a teacher were ever to have a question or to feel concerned that what they're being asked to do is compromising anything for them, they should contact a staff officer at the society. And we are working on this with legal and with our teacher welfare staff officers.
Thank you, Danielle. For those that are just tuning in a bit late, we will be posting the full town hall recording on our website tomorrow. Please visit www.mbteach.org to listen to the full event. Back to the phone lines. Elise from Winnipeg, you are live on the MTS Town Hall.
Hi, my question is about the 100 teachers that the government is supposed to be hiring. I don't know where they're going to find these teachers. We can't even find subs for my school division. But my question is just, if they're not able to fill these positions by simply hiring teachers, my concern is that they're going to start pulling support teachers from the divisions, and we desperately need those people in school right now. So I guess my question is, where is the government at with this? And if they can't hire just by posting the jobs, what is their plan then?
Thanks, Elise, for that question. It's a concern that your society shares as well. We've been working with the Retired Teachers Association of Manitoba in order to find a role for our retired teachers who become members when they begin working as educators. We've been working with them to find a role because it's understandable that being in their age puts them in a higher risk grouping for COVID, but they very much want to contribute to the educational community within the province of Manitoba. And one of the things we talked about at a meeting that was held with representatives from the Manitoba Association of School Superintendents, MSBA, and ourselves and RTAM was about the possibility of retired members filling some of these 100 positions with the remote learning school. And some of their questions were worked out with the potential employer, and we're optimistic seeing that the application deadline for these positions was extended as a result of that meeting. We're very optimistic that we're going to see our retired colleagues step up to the plate and help their active colleagues during this time in need. You should also know that the Manitoba Association of School Superintendents shares your concern as well. And one of the wonderful advantages of being an educator in the province of Manitoba is that we still have great relationships within our educational community. As both Danielle and I have said earlier, we work well with our education partners, our superintendents, our school trustees, parent councils. We have great relationships and we speak regularly, and it's good to know that a concern of teachers is also a concern of school superintendents. So we're going to hope to see more retired teachers into those positions in coming days and weeks.
Thank you, James. Let's look at the poll results from that last question. The question was, have you seriously considered retiring or changing professions due to challenges of working in a COVID-19 education system? 52% said yes. 48% said no. Moving on to our next question, we have Julie in Winnipeg. Julie, you're live.
Hi, I was just wondering what kind of responses you have gotten from our government, because as an elementary teacher, right now I'm teaching in 2 classrooms, like I've had to split my class in half, and I have to teach online learners. And what I'm hearing from other teachers is what a great need it is we need more teachers, we need more EAs, we need people in our buildings. And instead they've created this call center, sort of, and it doesn't really feel like anybody's listening to us. So I'm happy that it sounds like you guys are aware of what we need, but I'm curious if you feel like our government is being responsive to like the real things that we're bringing forward as issues.
Thanks for your question, Julie. And I think that it's really important to let you know that, you know, we have a lot of conversations. In fact, at our last count, we've probably been involved in well over 145 communications. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's nice if you're not getting what we need. And so this is a long game. This is a long process to helping all of the partners to understand what teachers need. And so I will say very clearly that we have not been ignored. And there have been a number of agreements and also successes that have marked the journey. But that doesn't mean that we've been walking hand in hand through this whole time singing Kumbaya. There have been instances of disagreement and tension and stress and strain. And so we've celebrated a number of things that we've had influence over. But also teachers don't necessarily hear about many of our non-contentious suggestions and feedback that have been adopted by the government. We don't necessarily talk about those. The ones you hear about are the ones that are controversial. So for example, what you're sharing, we call what you're doing, splitting your class between two classrooms that you run back and forth between, we call that duplex teaching. So you're duplex teaching and you're responsible for online learners. And so we have really turned our attention to that unreasonable workload for teachers and then trying to better align that with the resources that the government is putting on the table. And so the disappointment that we experienced with the announcement about the Remote Learning Center was exactly as you have expressed. That's not going to help me because what I'm doing here is not sustainable. And so there are all kinds of, I'll call them levers, that we consider in our advocacy and our action. We talk about labor protocols and grievance action. So workload would be something that we might consider grievance action. We do member campaigns and public campaigns and media releases. And so I bring those levers up only to let you know that the question basically, is the government listening, is multi-layered. That would imply that they're just listening to us. And the government listens to all kinds of stakeholders, including the public, the voting public, and other sectors. I think member stories, like what you have just shared here, member stories are huge. And just recently, we provided the Deputy Minister with a report with the voices of teachers. And this was really important, helping her and her team to understand the safety, the stress, workload, and mental health issues that teachers and principals are experiencing. And so this is just another one of those levers. Part of it is information, part of it is the public work that we do, and we will continue to do that. Our work is not over, it's far from over. And one conversation ends and we're thinking about what are our members telling us and how do we amplify their voices and get them the help that we need. And so right now, that's unreasonable workload for teachers doing blended learning, in person and remote. That's unreasonable workload for teachers teaching multiple sets of learners across multiple physical locations. It's unreasonable workload for teachers. It's compliance with physical distancing and masks in school. It's workforce shortages. It's access to public health support and rapid testing. And it is support for teacher mental health. So thanks for sharing your story, Julie. And you need to know we are working on this for you, and we're not going to stop anytime soon.
Thank you for the question, Julie, and thank you for the response, Danielle. Moving right along to our next question, we have Jill in Brandon. Jill, you're live on the MTS Townhall.
Thank you for allowing us all this opportunity. I've been enjoying listening to teachers across Manitoba. My concern and question is about school divisions and schools being able to access teacher candidates as subs. Is there a way that universities, school divisions, the Department of Education, certification can quickly, not in a long game manner, can quickly find a way to offer substitute positions to teacher candidates? We have 200, 100 first year and 100 second from Brandon University. Many of them just left our building on Friday, and they expressed the desire to be able to help out and teach. You know, we had these young teachers in our school, and now we don't have them this week. What can be done to actually utilize those student teachers, offer them courses at night so that they can sub during the day. I believe from news reports that other professions have been able to use student nurses and doctors and lab techs against the COVID fight, and that is certainly what needs to be done for substitutes in Brandon, I would say.
Jill, thanks very much for the question. It's a very, very important one. We have been actively working with the Manitoba School Boards Association on exactly the issue that you raise. Primarily, it's been with the University of Manitoba, who does have the largest number of teacher candidates, but that work has continued to the University of Winnipeg, and I will definitely make the inquiries tomorrow respecting Brandon University. But right now it is very much a decision, but I want to say the Manitoba School Boards Association is very supportive of allowing our teacher candidates to work as substitutes, as long as that, of course, can be worked around their course schedule and also around their teacher practicums, because we know it is absolutely essential that the education graduating classes are successful this year. You saw from the recent poll that we have, I would say, an unprecedented number of members who are considering retirement or unfortunately considering leaving the profession. I, for one, certainly hope that that is not the case, because we certainly value our members highly. But we may very well be looking at an unprecedented year next year for teacher employment, and we very much need these current teacher candidates there to maintain and enrich our profession. So we'll take that. We'll take the issue of Brandon University and teacher candidates to our colleagues at tomorrow's meeting. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, James. I would like to remind our callers, if you don't already follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, it's a great way to keep updated on breaking education news and upcoming events. You can also contact us through social media by sending us a DM. It's another way to get in touch with the Society. These accounts are monitored and you will receive a response. Well, there have been so many great questions and conversation tonight. I encourage you to leave a message at the end of this call if you're unable to get through during the allotted time. James, anything you'd like to say to members before they go?
Well, thanks, Dan. I'll certainly echo your previous comments about getting in touch with us. Members telling their stories has been incredibly important for your society this year, so that the public and our politicians understand at a much deeper level the commitment that our members have. So to those of you in the call tonight, thank you so much for participating this evening. Each and every one of you here is dealing with so much. But what is absolutely clear is the level of commitment that we all have towards our students. Teachers want their students to succeed, and for students to succeed, our teachers must be supported. So please continue to reach out to us. We will continue to be here to help you. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Danielle, General Secretary, anything you'd like to say to members before they go this evening?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thanks for joining us. This is a first for me, and so I've just really appreciated hearing your voices, and I hope we can come together like this again. I completely agree with James. The common theme in all of these voices tonight is help us so we can continue to do what we love, which is teach students. The learning conditions and the working conditions are inseparable. And there are so many pressures being placed on teachers that the system is becoming unsustainable. So we want you to know that we hear you. We hear you loud and clear. And our pledge to you is that we're not going to back down until we see improvements and we can make your conditions better so that you can be the best teacher that you can. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Danielle, and thanks to everyone for their participation tonight. A reminder that right after the call ends, you will be given the opportunity to leave a voice message. Please take just one more minute and stay on the line to leave a message for James and Danielle. Whether it's a question that didn't get answered or a comment, we want to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in to the Manitoba Teachers Society Telephone Town Hall. Have a good evening.